Be how to build a real estate portfolio with a bad credit score.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Building a real estate portfolio with a bad credit score is challenging because you are limited at what you can qualify for. I think it's important to try to get that score up before you start exploring options, but you shouldn't let it stop you from seeing if you qualify.
Right. Perfect. And then, what steps should I take to start building a real estate portfolio with limited resources?
Another great question. If you have limited resources and you're wanting to get into real estate and building a portfolio, you can look at things like house hacking or finding affordable properties using FHA loans. It's low down payment, 3.5% down. You only need a 580 credit score minimum to qualify. You can also look at partnering with other people or even finding a seller that's willing to do seller financing as an option that can lower your upfront costs.
Okay.
And I would just say prioritize cash flow so you can reinvest profits in
Okay.
to grow.
And then, like, is it okay for me to have debt? Because I know you said it's okay to have a 580 credit score. Like, that's the minimum. But what about the debt? If I owe a lot of debt, like my profile of my credit score, does that affect me?
So it's really going to be something that you would only find out once you do a mortgage application. I never recommend to anybody to just assume that their credit is low or their debt is too high. Once you do an application, you can really then find out from someone like me that's a mortgage broker that can really tell you what your options are.
Gotcha. Okay. So, how important is actually improving my credit score before buying my first property? Like, I know you mentioned like house hacking and all these things and like how to build your real estate portfolio, but like the first property, like, is that the most important times to have a good credit score? Or like the second property, is it just as important to have a good credit score?
I think it's always important to be mindful of your credit.
Okay.
It's one of those things that for anything, you when you have good credit, you have more options, a little more freedom to make a mindful decision. But I don't think it's necessarily something that you don't need to have like an 800 credit score to buy your first house.
But it will definitely save you money in the long run with
On,
interest or
Honestly, once you're over a 740, you're pretty much high tier credit. So
okay.
you're already saving on as much interest as you can. The best way to really save on interest is to hope that the rates drop, but nobody really knows when that is.
Okay. And then can you recommend any lenders or programs that specialize in helping investors with low credit scores?
Yeah. So if you want to buy real estate and you have a low credit score, it really depends on what you're trying to get. If it's your first home, if you have a 580 credit score, you can buy FHA, you can buy USDA. USDA is more for rural properties, people who value privacy and land. They can have a low credit score, get a USDA loan, and buy a property that has a lot of land.
Okay. And I know you own a couple properties yourself, but what's the best way to identify profitable real estate markets for investing?
So three things I like to look for when if it's a new market that I would be investing in is what's the population growth, how is the job opportunities out there, like what's the demand, and what's the rental market looking like? Is the rental demand good? These are three factors that can really help an investor make an informed decision. They can also utilize things like Zillow or MLS and look at ROI tools and future values. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah. And then how can I balance short-term cash flow needs with long-term equity growth? And which one do you think will give you the bigger of the buck?
If you can get into acquiring property that generate you short-term cash flow, that's always good because you can take that money, reinvest it into the property. You can also take that money and acquire new property. Uh, if you want to have a mix of both, you can get a high cash flow rental in a high in an appreciating market where now you have a balance of both growth and income.
Okay. And then is it better to focus on one type of property when diversifying your real estate portfolio?
One type of property, could you elaborate?
Yeah, like residential or commercial, or like
Yeah.
it's good to do both.
Yeah, so I'd say if it's like residential versus commercial, I think it's more important I would suggest focus on residential first,
Yes.
learn how to uh, it's easier to manage and
Mm-hmm.
they're easier to finance. And once you learn how to have one or multiple, then you can start looking at diving into a whole new asset class like commercial.
Okay.
And that's allowing you to spread your risk and increase returns without biting off more than you can chew.
Okay. And then what are the most common mistakes new real estate investors make and how can we avoid them?
So some common mistakes that new investors make are over leveraging, not doing their due diligence.
Not doing market research, basically.
Yeah, making emotional decisions. That's probably a
Okay.
really big one.
Mm-hmm.
To go, it's when you do your due diligence, you want to do a home inspection. You want to see
Mm-hmm.
what's behind the walls. We're in a brand new home here. It's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, but you still, it's whether it's a new home or a remodel, you want to
Mm-hmm.
see what you're getting yourself into. And then as far as over leveraging, you want to have cash reserves. You never know what might happen.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have money for a rainy day in case you need to fix something,
Okay.
especially in this business. And the last thing, back to don't make emotional decisions. Make informed ones. If you're
Okay.
buying your first home, you're going to have outside influence from friends and family, and that can really hinder you from a lot of potential if you allow outside factors to influence your decisions instead of
Okay.
making an informed one.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you so much for, answering these questions. These are the
Yeah,
most common
for
questions
sure.
people ask because they don't really understand the aspects of these things. So, thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you guys want more, just subscribe and let me know. Bye.